I don't manage stress by escaping my life. I manage it by building my day in a way my brain can actually tolerate. If you're new here, I'm Dr. Lexi, and what I'm going to share today is a pretty normal day for me. It's not perfect, it's not fancy, and it's definitely not about being calm all the time, but it is intentional. So living on a homestead has taught me something I don't think I fully appreciated before. Rhythms matter. Not just for the land, not just for the animals, but for our brains too. Most people think stress management means doing something extra, another habit, another tool, another thing to fit in. But what I've learned is that it's often the opposite. It's about creating just enough space in your day so your brain isn't constantly bracing for what's next. I'm not trying to avoid stress. I still work a full-time job, run a business, and work to manage our homestead with my husband. I still have responsibilities and life still happens, but I am trying to live in a way that helps my brain recover instead of staying stuck in overdrive. And that's what I want to share with you today. Not a perfect routine, not a list of rules, just what stress management looks like in my real life and why it matters so much for your brain. Something I see all the time and something I didn't fully understand myself for a long time is that most stress doesn't feel dramatic. It doesn't always look like panic attacks or overwhelm. More often, it shows up quietly as brain fog, as trouble concentrating, as forgetting words or feeling mentally slower than you used to. And sometimes it looks like anxiety. Sometimes it looks like low mood. Sometimes it just feels like you don't have the energy or mental clarity you used to have. And that's not random. When stress becomes chronic, when your body is under constant demand without enough recovery, the brain is often the first place you feel it. That's because your brain is incredibly sensitive to things like stress hormones, blood sugar swings, inflammation, and how regulated your nervous system is. When those systems are out of balance, your brain has to work harder just to do basic things like focus, regulate emotions, and sustain energy. This is why stress so often gets labeled as ADHD, anxiety, depression, or even early cognitive decline, although it can also lead to those conditions if left unaddressed. And to be clear, medications can absolutely help manage symptoms for some people. But medication doesn't teach your nervous system how to slow down. It doesn't tell your brain when it's safe to shut off. Your brain needs clear signals for when to be on, and just as importantly, when to shut down. And that's where how you live your day, your rhythms, your environment, your recovery actually starts to matter. If you want a much deeper breakdown of exactly how stress affects the brain and nervous system, I do have a separate video where I walk through that in more detail. I'll link it here. Now, this is something that I care about deeply, not just because of my work, but because of what I've seen over and over again. My background is in pharmacy, and I'm trained in functional medicine and functional nutrition. I've spent years studying how the brain works, how medications affect it, and how lifestyle and biology are connected. And what became really clear to me, both professionally and personally, is that stress is often a huge missing piece. Not acute stress, not the obvious stuff, but that constant low-grade pressure of being on all the time. I've watched people do everything they're told to. Take the medication, eat better, exercise more, and still feel foggy, anxious, exhausted, or disconnected from themselves. And it's not because they're doing anything wrong necessarily. It's because no supplement, no medication, and no single habit can override a nervous system that never gets a chance to reset. That's why I don't teach extreme routines or perfect schedules. I care about what actually works in real life, on busy days, on hard days, on imperfect days. I choose a lifestyle that supports regulation, not perfection. If what I teach doesn't work in real life, I don't teach it. So let me walk you through what that looks like across a normal day for me. Before I walk you through this, I do want to be really clear about something. I'm not sharing this because I think I have stress figured out or because I manage it perfectly. I don't. This is just what has helped me and many of my clients so far, and it's changed how my brain feels day to day. What I've learned is that stress management isn't about controlling your life, which is a lot coming from this type A, trust me. It's about supporting your nervous system throughout the day. So instead of one big stress reduction moment, my day is built around small signals of safety and recovery. So mornings are one of the few times a day that feel naturally quiet before the noise and the demands really start. So I try to really protect that space. My quiet time in the morning isn't about doing one specific thing right. It's actually a combination of reading my Bible, prayer, deep breathing, and setting some intentions for the day. That mix has become my favorite form of meditation, not because it clears my mind completely, but because it helps me feel grounded before everything else starts pulling for my attention. What matters to me isn't the exact routine, although at this point it's very special to me, but it's the signal that it sends. It tells my brain that the day doesn't begin in urgency, that I don't have to jump straight into reacting. And then from there, I'll usually move my body, whether that's lifting weights, walking, or doing some yoga. Not to necessarily push myself or burn stress off, but to help my brain wake up in a more regulated way. I've found that when I start my day this way, my brain feels more steady and the rest of the day feels a little less reactive. Then as the day goes on, stress does have a way of sneaking in, of course. Not all at once, but in layers. Meetings, decisions, screens, problem solving, it adds up, doesn't it? So during the day, I try to give my brain small chances to reset instead of letting everything pile up until the end. I take the dogs out for walks down to our mailbox on my work breaks, which is a 1/4 mile down the drive, so it is a good distance. And I make a point to stand up and stretch at my desk regularly. Those moments aren't big, dramatic things, but they do matter. They're a way of letting stress leave my body a little at a time instead of carrying it with me all day. If stress never gets to exit, it doesn't disappear. It just becomes chronic. In the evenings, I try to be just as intentional about slowing things down. I aim to finish work by around 6. Not that I always succeed at that, but having a boundary matters. Then, once I'm done working, I'll often wear blue light blocking glasses for the rest of the evening. Not as a magic fix, of course, but as another way of telling my brain that we're moving out of work mode. Boundaries aren't just mental, they can be biological too. Then at night, I try to get in bed around the same time most nights. Again, definitely not perfect here, but I'm consistent enough that my brain now expects rest. Our brains really thrive on rhythm, and when sleep timing is all over the place, that alone can be a stress signal. So for me, predictability matters more than optimization. Now, I want to pause here for a second because I know how this kind of content can land. It can start to feel like one more thing you're supposed to do or one more way you're getting it wrong, and that's not the point of this. I don't do this perfectly. Some mornings are really rushed. Some days are really stressful. Some weeks are heavier than others, and that doesn't mean it's not working. The goal isn't to eliminate stress. We can't do that, and honestly, we don't want to because our bodies grow and adapt and become better when it comes up against appropriate stress. The goal here is to build a brain that can recover from it. That's what actually makes stress manageable long term, not willpower, not discipline, and not perfection. When your brain has enough chances to reset, everything else gets a little easier. And this is just one piece of a much bigger picture. What I've shared with you today aren't just pieces. Helpful pieces, but they're not meant to stand alone. Stress doesn't exist in isolation. It's actually connected to how your body is functioning as a whole, and that's why so many people feel stuck even when they're doing a lot of the right things. They're trying to fix symptoms one at a time without a clear starting point or a framework that connects everything. If you're watching this and you're thinking, okay, I get this, but where do I actually begin? That's exactly why I created my free masterclass. It's called the 4-Step Framework to Beat Brain Fog, Fatigue, and Mood and Memory Struggles Naturally. In that training, I walk you through how these pieces fit together and how to identify the right first step for your body so you're not guessing or jumping ahead. If this video resonated with you, I think you'll find that really helpful. You can find the link below. And if you enjoyed this kind of real-life brain health focused content, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I share a lot here about how to support long-term brain health naturally. Thanks so much for being here. I'll see you in the next video.